This is the Goth weekend run at the end of October 2017. Took the XSR 700, it being a rather nice dry day. It might be one of the last weekends it ever goes out, because I won't take it out in the salt. I'll use the trail bike for that. And we're using the new Drift 4K, which came nearly 2 weeks ago now. I've used it once briefly and I wasn't happy because I had the angle wrong. It was looking down too much at the handlebars. So I fixed that, and then in my wisdom I thought, well, I'll turn on the stabilisation, which is actually part of the reason I got it, because I thought it would be better for being stabilised. But you can see the problem in this, and this isn't too bad as it goes, that every time you move your head slightly it sort of lurches from side to side, and it almost makes you feel sick. If you're going at a faster speed on the main road, it gives the impression you're kind of floating above the surface. It's just awful. So I'm not going to use it anymore. The reason is that this camera, whereas the previous Ghost HD had a 170 degree wide angle, I think it's 170 wide angle lens, this one is 140, which is significantly closer to start with, but that's not really an issue. But the stabilisation automatically crops out at least 5%, probably more like 10, around the outside of the frame. Because, for example, you can't see my helmet at the left side at all, which wouldn't be a bad thing, except that it's just accentuating this feeling of looking through a tube, and your head seems to be flicking about as it sort of lurches from trying to hold one point to the next position your head was in. So it is definitely not really suitable. Having said that, if you're just going smoothly along a road like a motorway or a main road, and you're aware that of what it does, you could make quite a nice sequence. And another vehicle like a car, it might be no problem. But they actually claim that this stabilisation feature is very suitable for use on helmets, but it clearly isn't. Anyway, I was looking for a parking place, and you see there's one there parked on WL line. You see, I often park along the West Cliff if I'm going to the dentist. It's one of the few reasons I ever go into Whitby these days, at least up here. And you can often park in a little corner spot or something on the West Cliff. I knew he was going to cut that corner, so I held back, and then them lads on the bikes let me out. It took me a second to realise what they were doing. But anyway, yeah, I was looking for an obvious place. I wouldn't want to be right up here really, because I knew I wanted to walk down towards the Pier Road, I think it's called, in the bridge area. There isn't many goths up on this part, because it's still, with it being a fine weekend, it's relatively busy without all the goths. But I have to say, the Ghost 4K, it's just delightful on these. It's a little bit soft. Well, I was a bit surprised how it looked like it could do with a bit of a sharpen, which I'll probably do when I'm processing this. And it's a little bit too colourful for my liking. This is on the normal setting rather than vivid, but some colours are just a little bit garish for my liking. Now maybe it's easy enough to knock that back though, like that red car. Poor. But it's really quite natural tones. And look at the sky, and also look there, you've got quite a good contrast. You've got shady buildings and bright sky, and what's that called? There's a difference between the dark areas and the bright areas. It's doing that quite well really. I think you're going to get really good results with this. Get the settings nice. Because with a Ghost HD, I just stuck it on and recorded for the first 2 or 3 years, and then I got more and more interested in trying to sort of do what you could call colour grading. It sounds a bit ostentatious, were just getting the best from it, and started sharpening it a bit and working on the colours. And I think that's really why I started to feel actually it wasn't all that good. What's quite striking is that the 1080p bit rate on the 4K is almost double the 1080p bit rate on the Ghost HD. Anyway, this is where the Goths start to appear, and the parking place I'm heading for, it's at the rear of St Hilda's Terrace. Anyone who lives locally and passed their driving test, at least in the past, I don't know where it is now, the driving test centre used to be up here, and they always used to tell you to park in rear of St Hilda's Terrace. You didn't have to pay, but they wanted it's £1.50 for an hour. And it's unclear whether a bike is supposed to pay. There's no mention. I seem to remember that there was a bike parking space in the corner, but it seems to be a larger area sort of chained off for the locals. But there is still a space to park in the corner by the gate. Anyway, I decided to get the £1.50 ticket just in case, because I felt that there would be red hot on checking these tickets with it being Goth weekend. But when I came back to the bike about 50 minutes later, someone had taken the ticket off it.
Equals number 99.